Well, the numbers are in this morning, and precious little news other than that. So this will be a short show. We'll jump right into those numbers and their implications. This is Randy Kirk. Hit like and subscribe and hit notify. And then think about joining Patreon. The folks who are on Patreon this morning got those numbers 2 minutes, 3 minutes after I got them. So that's the way things are going to work right now. When I get the news, I'm going to put it on Patreon right away. And, for those of you who are really the news hounds and want to know as soon as things happen, that's the way to do it. You can give it a try for 7 days for free. We'll talk more about that at the end. So James Stevenson was the only one to be remotely close to the number this morning. He hit it out of the park in terms of the shipments. I didn't look to see how he did on production numbers. So the numbers came in much lower than anybody but James was expecting, and the very lowest, and he was at the very bottom. This makes the prospect of getting to 1.8 million a bit harder, because with only 435,000 shipped and 430,000 produced, that gives us a total of 1.324 for the year so far. That means we need 476,000 to get to the 1.8 million. So the 1.8 million now is a little tougher, but the market, surprisingly, is taking the numbers in stride. It was down 10, then it was down 9, then it was down 6. The last time I checked, it was only down 275. So this would be in line with what I would consider to be a correct interpretation of these numbers, that they really don't matter, that this quarter is a throwaway. And why is it a throwaway? Elon Musk said this is going to be a slower quarter because of production cutbacks, and that and they reconfirmed this morning in the reporting this morning, they reconfirmed their 1.8 million. Now I'm sitting at 1.83, and is my guess, for the total year. And a lot of folks besides me, a lot of smart folks, are saying that they think there'll be 500,000 shipments in the fourth quarter, which would be really darn close to my 1.83. Now, I'm not playing, I don't want to play games here. Yes, my number earlier this year was 2.3 and then 2.1. And to be down to 1.83, yes, I'm shocked. I thought it would be a much better year. But this is all kind of in keeping with what I've been saying now, at least. Like I say, you have to change your interpretation as things change. There wasn't, as Elon has said many times, it's not a matter of not enough demand. What the question is how much demand there is at a price. And you have these massive increases that are already taking place. I mean, Tesla will be up 50% average per year, since the beginning. More than that, going to beat that number by a lot at 1.8 even, much less 1.83. So they're continuing to hit those projections. But my projections and others who thought they would do much better was based on the idea that Tesla could produce the numbers. Okay, it would be possible for them adding the third shift, fourth shift, at Austin and at Berlin, having all of the lines running at those different facilities. All those things would make it possible to be substantially higher than this 1.8 million this year. Elon read the tea leaves differently. He said, look, there's the demand, overall demand this year is going to be tough. Overall, because of interest rates, because of the economy being a little sluggish. And even though overall auto sales in the US are up, it is a luxury price point, and it's a little harder to get those numbers in a rough year with high interest rates. Anyway, so yes, the number was a shockingly low number, in particular for the X and the S, only come in at 16,000 for the two of them. This is down quarter over quarter, even after that price drop, and nowhere near what people were thinking in terms of 20 to 25,000. Now, it's a fairly small issue compared to the rest of the information here today, but that it is what it is. All right. We also had a lot of news yesterday about the Model Y refresh, and you really have to call this one a refresh in Shanghai, because it was trim changes only, although Electric Viking is reporting a new motor in the Model Y in Shanghai, a more powerful motor with a little more range. Haven't seen that reporting confirmed anywhere else other than Electric Viking. And as you know, he even repeated in his story last night that this was absolutely good information coming directly from Tesla, but nobody else is reporting it. So I'm still a little worried about some of his reporting right now. So no rear screen, no improved suspension, no difference in terms of the body design or lighting or other things like that on the exterior of the car. Just the interior light trim around the interior, the LED lighting, the dashboard changed just like on the Model 3. So minor changes in terms of just some. Oh, I know wheel covers were the other thing. That's the one I was trying to remember. All right. So we'll look forward to seeing the 500,000 this next quarter. And interesting that the market is in line or not that crazy about it, not dropping like a rock like some might have thought would happen this morning. People taking it in stride. All right, so the market in general, the last time I looked, NASDAQ up, Dow down, definitely kind of aimless and mixed. Don't know if it has anything to do with Bill Ackman, the billionaire hedge fund manager, saying this morning that long-term treasury yields could shoot even higher in the current environment. He sees the 30-year rate testing the mid-fives and the benchmark 10-year approaching 5%. Well, he goes on to say the 30-year treasury is likely to go higher. Ackman said the yields. I don't know that the 10-year has to go meaningfully above 5% because you're seeing some weakness in the economy. And he went on to talk a lot about the weakness that he sees. But on a long-term basis, we think structural inflation is going persistently higher in a world like that. So I'm very confused about all that. Ackman is a pretty good analyst, I have to say. I don't follow him closely, but generally speaking, he's a pretty good analyst. But why he thinks long-term inflation, structural inflation, is in place, I have no idea. Anyway, the bond yields are up this morning. So I think that's surprising. On the other hand, lack of demand for bonds is why they're headed up. I mean, that's just obvious. You got the bonds going down in value because nobody wants them. So Ackman did say he thinks that the real interest rates are high enough, which kind of contradicts his idea that they're going higher. Anyway, I'm going to take the under on this. I don't think we'll get close to 5% on the 10-year. And in fact, I think that we're also seeing truflation this morning dropping all the way down to 2.44. It was as high as 2.6, 2.7 a week ago. So dropping very strongly even in the face of these oil and gas price increases. The truth is, oil has leveled off now for about almost 2 weeks in the low 190s. It's just this morning also in like 191. We'll double check that in a second, but that's where it was. And I don't think these bond yields are not going to hold if inflation is really headed down under 2%, which I believe it is, headed towards deflation. And I have a big backup now on that with Costco saying that they're just cutting prices right and left, and they're anticipating deflation. So it's not just Cathie Wood and Randy Kirk. Costco, and these guys are not stupid about this kind of stuff. They are seeing the incoming pricing from their suppliers, and I'm expecting that they know a lot about this. Anyway, as noted, there wasn't much to report, so I'm not going to waste your time. Let's take a look at where things stand now. Well, Tesla is now down 5, so it's been up and down a lot, but as I mentioned before, between down 10 and down as low as 2.5. But right now it is starting to tick back up a little bit. Let's take a look at the overalls here. We've got the Dow still down 100 points. We've got the NASDAQ up almost 40, S&P down 7, and the rest of the high-tech guys are all up, actually, mirroring the NASDAQ. All the Magnificent Seven are up except for Tesla. And the Cathie Woods are all down because bond yields are up. That is almost always going to be the case, although PayPal and Square like even. Anyway, let's go in and look at the other numbers here. Just a second. We have the Bitcoins are up again, another 1,295 to 28.4. Very interesting. In the comments below, because I don't know anything about this, in the comments below, why do you think Bitcoin is reacting so strongly the last couple of 3 days? We have the dollar is firm, but no direction yet this morning. We've got gold down again, another $15. Gold and Bitcoin going in the opposite direction, but gold going down as the dollar stays firm is not surprising. But now at 1850, I mean, it's been crushed. Silver is down, copper is down, the commodities are down. That's good news in terms of my expectation that we'll see deflation on the way. Oil is actually down at $90.50, just down 35 cents. Brent about the same, down 13. But at 92.07, the difference between Texas Intermediate and Brent is usually over $3. Right now, it's only $2. Okay, that's interesting. Natural gas down strongly this morning also. And then, as mentioned, bonds up 68 basis points, $4.639% on the 10-year. And we've got the 2-month up a little bit, the 3-month up, and the 2-year up 64 basis points. That's really strong on the short-term 2-year. Anyway, the 10-year now not up as much, but still up slightly. So what an interesting morning. Didn't like those numbers at all. I'm sure you didn't either. But again, I call it the throwaway quarter. We got to get that. We really want that 500,000 or more next month. Do you think it's in the potential range of possibility? Do you think we'll be at 1.8? Do you think that we'll hit my number 1.83? You know I'm the optimist, so you should probably underbid my number. But actually, a lot of people are saying 500,000, so it's not just me. All right, now listen. This is the time when you want to join Patreon. As I mentioned earlier, you know, as soon as I got that number, I didn't even put it on my notes for this morning. I went directly to Patreon and put it up there. So probably within 2 minutes of my eyeballs alighting on that number, it was up on Patreon. If you'd like to get the news 3, 4, 5 times a day, I'm going to try not to be over 5 times because I don't want to put up stuff that's just, okay, you'll see it when you see it. I want to put the stuff that's breaking news, that's important, that might affect the stock price, that might affect your thinking, the kind of things I think that I would like to see as soon as possible on a daily basis. And so that's what I'll put up on Patreon every single day. If that makes sense to you and you got an extra $5 a month, give it. You don't even have to pay that yet. You can get it there and test it at the $5 level or the $10 level and decide in 7 days whether it's worth it to you or not. Maybe it won't. Maybe you'll decide it's just not really worth it. I will also include my commentary. This morning, I only gave 1 line of commentary because I needed to get back to getting this done, but I did get the numbers up ASAP. All right. Remember, there are also lots of bonuses. You get the obvious bonus. The most important one, of course, at the $10 level, you get one of these babies, the cyber opener, the bottle opener and refrigerator magnet that is worth $25, or if you prefer to buy it on Amazon, you can spend $29.95. And but for me, you can have it for $25 each. All you need to do is send the $25 to paypal.me/Randy Kirk, all in lowercase letters. All that information will be below. And if you're outside the country, though, please add another $20 for freight. I forgot to say that the other day, and somebody unfortunately didn't realize that it was going to cost them extra for out of the country. Okay. I think that's all I've got for you right now, but I will be back a couple more times a day. At least one of those times will be with Brian White, who many of you say is your favorite. And I'm sure that's because he's funny. Or is it because he's wise? Or is it because he gives original reporting? Why is it that you like Brian White so much? Let me know in the comments. It's been great talking to you.